Welcome to another episode of Geek Card. Andrew Young and Mr. Green here, talking about some of the best geek stuff out there right here in the Reality Radio 101 studio. The great thing about the Toronto area is that we have a number of fantastic writers and publishers who are female that are contributing to the world of geek.
Yeah, it's great talking to, these ladies who bring so much to the table. And that, it's like, you're like, wow, there's all this great stuff going on. And, we're trying to spread the word, help spread that word about what's out there, because people may not be checking stuff out.
That's right. Let's check out more of this word right now. So we're here with Hope Nicholson, who is holding an event tonight promoting the re-release of Brock Windsor, a Golden Age Canadian hero, now available in print again. This is your second reprint project after Nelvana of the Northern Lights. And you've got more projects coming on the way, including something with Margaret Atwood.
Yes.
So yes, a lot of great things coming down the pipe for you. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. There's a lot of various things. The thing is, sometimes you don't know exactly which will pan out first.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that are in development, which is a fancy way of saying they may never happen.
When I first met you, you were a producer for a documentary about Canadian superheroes, and now you're publishing old Canadian superheroes, bringing back Golden Age characters. How did you come into that career?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a career, more of a hobby, but basically, before there was a film, there was me as an academic going to university and studying these characters and being frustrated that I could only read about other people reading them. So when I was doing the documentary, I was able to find more of the material, and I'm like, okay, now I have a better idea of what the content is, but it's still not everything. And I kept waiting for years and years for someone to put out a collection, and eventually I realized that the only one who would put out a collection would be basically me.
We're here with Sam Maggs, who is the author of The Fangirl's Guide to the Galaxy, which is coming out
May 12th.
May 12th. There we go, May 12th. You've written articles, you've written for websites, you've had essays included in various published works, but this is your first solo publishing gig. How did that come about?
Actually, my literary agent found me through Twitter because I was doing a lot of work on the internet. I'm a writer for the Mary Sue. I've written articles for Mary Claire, and I'm just like relentless on Twitter. So she sent me an email, and things worked out between us, and we came up with the idea for the book, which is something that I've always wanted to write about, which is basically just like being a girl in geek culture. It can be difficult sometimes. Either you don't know how to get into something, or you are into something, and people treat you badly or doubt you. It can be kind of tricky. So I just wanted to write the guide that I wish I'd had when I was like a 15-year-old girl who's really into Stargate and felt super alone.
The growing demographic in comics and sci-fi fantasy right now is the female demographic, yet there still is, kind of a boys club mentality.
You're right, the numbers are there. Almost 50% of convention attendees are women. Almost 50% of people who read comics, of people who play video games, are women. Like, they're pretty much even. So the fact that women don't really feel welcome in a lot of spaces, especially behind the scenes, they're not super encouraged to get involved in creating video games or in creating comics, that's kind of a problem because you want to see things that represent you and are made by people like you who kind of understand your perspective.
Some of the behavior in the industry is not right at all. It's been allowed for such a long time that it's going to take a little bit of time to get rid of it. I mean, I've had mansplaining is the one that I would say is the most notorious one. Well, do you know this? Do you know that? I know like 10 times more than you do. So, and I know that I know that. But like, what can you do? I'm not a rude person. I'm not gonna be rude. I just kind of smile and nod.
I think there is still some tension within the actual industries themselves, but the audience, the readers, and the writers, we're all doing our thing, and I think there's a real difference being made slowly but surely.
You just don't get the respect or the credit, but it will come. It will come, I'm sure. It just takes a little longer for ladies, and you just got to be stubborn about it, and you just got to be consistent with it.
So do you think that that audiences generally, male, female, doesn't matter, but just the general literature audience has finally
moved past caring about gender and sexual orientation of not only the characters but those who write the material, or do you still feel like we have quite a distance to travel in that regard?
Oh, I think we have still quite a distance to travel in that regard. I recently read a very sad story by a fellow author online, and she was just talking about how she went to do a school visit. This was for a middle grade book, and she went to do a school visit, and the boys were told they didn't have to attend her reading. So it was only a group of girls, and this one boy showed up after the reading very embarrassed, very shy, coming up to her because he loved her books. But he was embarrassed because clearly this was only meant for girls. And there's nothing particularly girly about the book, but it was a female author.
When you still see the numbers of creators, we're looking at like 13% of game developers are female, 30% of comic developers are female. We're not there at all because girls don't feel encouraged to get into that. They don't know how to get into that. They don't know that there are support systems there for them. So we need to like up the number of creators who are getting into the business.
Things like webcomics make it easier for everyone to have their comic get out there and get people involved in ways that just weren't possible before. And so by bypassing aspects of publishing and things like that, it's a bit easier for people to feel comfortable just sharing their content. And with the rise of Kickstarter and other things, you can also self-publish your work. And so that's something that's makes it a bit more accessible for everyone, and that's why you see more of a rise, I think, in women in comics in a higher profile way.
One of my favorite movie moments is from a film that debuted at TIFF in 2011. That's the movie Goon, directed by Mike Dowse. It stars Sean William Scott as Doug Glatt going up against Liev Schreiber's Ross the Boss Ray. This film is great, and it is summed up best in the one scene in this film that I love.
You have my respect. If ever there comes a time when it gets down to you and me, I will lay you low, kid.
The level of intensity that comes off these two guys really, really makes this moment happen and really sets up what's going to happen in the third act of the film. And that's why it's one of my favorite movie moments.
Well, that brings us to the end of Season 1 of Geek Card. I want to thank all the great people that came on our show during this time. But where can people find us now that the season is over?
Friday nights at 7 p.m. on realityradio101.com, where you can check out our live show that we do every week. You can also check us out at geekcardshow.com for more information about everything that we're doing day to day. Maybe some news, some reviews, videos.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, we use some of those. Well, you do, I do.
Yeah, we both do videos too.
Do we?
Yeah.
Well, we're doing this one.
Yes.
Okay, cool. You can also check us out on Twitter at Geekart, and of course, Facebook, Geekart Show.
All right, well, thanks once again for Mr. Green. This is Andrew Young saying, if you're gonna geek out, you might as well geek hard. Good night.